Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how we can integrate the Arvata GraphQL server with the Layer 7 API developer portal. Let's go ahead and let's deploy our GraphQL endpoint. So let's add a new. We're going to deploy to the gateway named my gateway. And then I'm going to select our Arvata schema that we have. Here we can set the endpoint as portal managed. I'm going to toggle that to yes, and I'll show you some of the options we have below to take advantage of that. I want to specify our environment configuration. I'm going to turn on introspection. So our quota is going to be enforced by the portal now, so we're not going to control that from this screen, but we can take advantage of that inside of the portal. And then once we get down to the security type, notice that our options have changed from the non-portal managed options. So here we have portal managed OAuth 2 and portal managed API keys, and the ability to select a custom template if we've defined one. So I'm going to select portal managed API keys for this demonstration, and I'm going to give the cache time to live of 300 seconds or 5 minutes. So I'll go ahead and deploy this endpoint. And then we will give it just a second. And we've noticed that we have our endpoint called Arvata has now shown up into the Layer 7 API developer portal in an unpublished state. So awesome. So let's go ahead and enable this particular endpoint. To do so, select it. We're going to select on Actions, Edit API Details, and then come down to API Details. And to enable it, we need to assign a EULA. So once we do that, we can hit Save. Now, for this particular endpoint, it's going to be enforcing the API key security scheme. So to do that, we need to assign an application to it. Before we can assign an application to it, we need to modify the permissions on this guy. So go ahead and select on our Arvata endpoint. Edit the visibility permissions for this particular endpoint. And we need to do this so that when we go to map it, the application to the API, that organization that application lives in will have the ability to see this API so that it can map to it. So we're going to select, I'm just going to select public and open, and then that should save. Now let's go ahead and go to apps, which is where our applications are defined. And I have an application out here right now that is under the bronze organization. This particular organization has an account plan associated with it of 100 transactions per day and a 1 transaction per second rate limit. So we're going to edit this particular application name. Notice that we have our API key or our client ID out there. We'll come back to that in a second. I'm going to go to the API management tab here, and then I want to map our Arvata endpoints to this client. So let's accept the EULA agreement. Hit save. Our endpoint will now allow traffic from this particular client that we have here. So let's test that out. We're going to go back into the application, and I want to grab this API key. And then I'm going to bring up graphical, where we are pointed to our GraphQL server. Notice that we are getting an error on our introspection query because it can't extract the token. So we're going to add a header. This header has an API key, with this value. Let's go ahead and assign it. Notice the introspection query happened, and we are able to call that endpoint using that API key that we got from that application. Hopefully this was useful. Thank you.